Good night and welcome to the Galen Hour. It is always a pleasure to be here on Wednesday nights, and we're here again tonight. This is actually the final episode for our season 9. It has been a very interesting season, and without really planning it, it turned out to be a season that talked a lot about the BPO sector. Well, tonight our topic is Belize's global digital services industry. We're looking at the gaps, the needs, the diversification of the industry. And it should be an absolutely fantastic episode to end and topic to end the season with. So we do have in studios two very special guests, and I would like to do the introductions of our guests tonight. So as you know, the BPO sector has taken center stage. And as we talk about the skills gap, analysis of needs and assessments that have been done, and a research has recently been done by RICS Limited in collaboration with Chamberlain Consulting and Socius Digital Limited. And in studios tonight, we have representing that collaboration, Christian Jr. So welcome, Christian Jr. It is a pleasure to have you with us tonight.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
We look forward to hearing and sharing with our viewing audience the research findings that you've because it's really important information, things that we are not necessarily considering, but it's good to know. Also in studios, we have with us Ishmael Kiros, who is the Executive Director of Belize Trade and Investment Development Services, Beltrade.
Yes,
right?
That's right.
Welcome, Ishmael, and a proud Galen Eagle. It's always good to have a Galen Eagle in studios with us. But because we're talking about Belize's global digital services industry, it is really important to have and hear from Ishmael and Beltrade, and to hear how Beltrade has contributed to this whole process and what the digital services industry will be, how it's tied to the BPO sector, and what that diversification that the government and through the work of the investment arm of Beltrade is really hoping to do and actually working on realizing. And so we are going to hear from both of these gentlemen tonight. And also joining us remotely, we have Christian Loza. There's Christian. Christian had joined us for episode 4. He's a recent Galen graduate. He did his research on BPO's productivity and satisfaction. He looked at the impact of benefits and incentives as well on BPO's productivity and satisfaction in Belize. And so it all ties in. We had one other episode, it was episode 2, that we had looked at the BPO work experience and career mobility. So like I said, this season has been filled with BPO talk, and I think tonight brings it to a good head, where we see where our government is going and the work that is being done through the consulting firm as well as through Belize Trade Development Services, Beltrade. Let me stay safe and say Beltrade. So I thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Diana Gomez-Perifit. It's always a pleasure to be here on Wednesday nights. As you know, the Galen Hour is produced by Galen University. It showcases Galen's commitment to academic excellence, promotes sustainable development, and contributes to the fostering of lifelong learning. So welcome. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back and start our discussion. Stay tuned.
Oftentimes, it only takes a spark to ignite the fire that burns inside of us. At Galen, we're committed to academic excellence, and our student-centered service is available to all our Eagles. You too can become a Galen Eagle.
Hello, my name is Jarrell Velasquez, and on behalf of Galen University, I would like to extend an invitation for men to come back to school. Young, old, near, far, wherever you are.
It all starts with a question. What if I really could become a Galen Eagle? And suddenly, the answer feels closer than ever. Get your eagle on. Come soar with the Galen Eagles.
I am Ishmael Kiros, and since earning my master's in economics from Galen University in 2016, I have worked in private sector development at the Inter-American Development Bank, and then in the Office of the Prime Minister, and I am now the Executive Director of the Belize Trade and Investment Development Service, Beltrade. I'm a proud Galen Eagle.
Welcome back to the Galen Hour. Tonight we're talking about Belize's global digital services industry, gaps, needs, diversification. And we want to get started with our discussion. We do have in studios, as I had introduced, Christian Jr., Ishmael Kiros, and coming in live we have Christian Loza. So I want to start with you, Ishmael. It's really a pleasure to have you here. I know you're very busy, so we do appreciate you taking time to join us. And I know Beltrade is integral to the work that's happening with the Belize's, with the diversification of the whole BPO sector. And so if you could get us started with sharing, for the benefit of our viewing audience, what the Belize's global digital services is all about and what we're looking at when we talk about policy related to that particular industry and sector.
Fantastic.
And how Beltrade is contributing to all of this work.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Deanna. It really is an absolute pleasure to be here. As you mentioned, I am a proud Galen Eagle, and so it's great. This is my first time on the show, and I think it's long overdue. So great to be here contributing. So first of all, just to mention that Beltrade has quite a broad mandate, but one that actually touches on various aspects of the BPO sector, right? And I'm very, very pleased that you actually entitled the episode the Global Digital Services sector in terms of referencing it, because it's how we definitely need to be going, right? That is where we're aiming for, beyond the traditional BPO sector. And for various reasons that we can get into in the course of the discussion. But in terms of what Beltrade does to support this very important sector that is a big contributor to Belize's economy now, we work with the sector through our Belize Training and Employment Center, BTEC, in the area of job preparedness, so preparing people interested in getting into this space, this sector, or already in the sector and need to upskill and need to develop their capacity. Very importantly, Beltrade also serves as Belize's national investment and export promotion agency. And through our Belize Invest unit, we administer the government of Belize's fiscal incentives program, which in recent years has been opened up to the BPO sector to have them benefit from the tax exemptions that are available under this incentive program. And so it's something that, as you said, the global digital services sector is one that has really taken prominence in Belize, especially during and post-COVID, in terms of it being a resilient one. And what we're trying to do is to really ensure that we maintain Belize's competitive edge, and we can talk about some of the specifics of why Belize and why Belize is doing great in this space.
Very good, very good. Thank you for that. It is good to understand Beltrade's role, and certainly understanding and knowing that you are in charge, if I may. And Beltrade does have an investment arm that the BPOs, that does work with the BPOs, but there's also training. Beltrade does do a lot when it comes to developing our people and our economy. So great work. To bring you into the conversation, Christian Jr., if you could just share with our viewing audience just your involvement here with respect to the BPO sector and Beltrade.
Okay, hi, thanks for having me again. My name is Christian. Like you said, I run a technology company. We are based in London and we operate outside of London. So we were engaged by the IDB. I think that project is in partnership with Beltrade, the IPCU as well. Our engagement centered around upskilling Tier 1 BPO agents with advanced technical skills to prepare them and the BPO to go into the GDS industry and actually start providing advanced services, to move from Tier 1 services that are basically call center work, customer services, to more advanced role like Tier 2, Tier 3, that involve what I like to call the KPO, knowledge process outsourcing, rather than BPO sector. Our engagement was centered around training people with advanced skills like cloud engineering, cybersecurity, data analytics, all of the skills that become extremely difficult to disrupt with AI, because you still need human in the loop when you deal with these kinds of advanced skills. So our engagement covered a needs assessment where we needed to investigate and research and understand the needs of the BPOs, other Belizean businesses within the GDS sector. We also investigated the needs of the employees of the BPOs. We looked at the education system as well, to actually understand where the skills gap or the skills shortages were. So we've conducted this research over the last 12 months, and we recently published the needs assessment report. And that needs assessment process actually informed the programs that we designed. We are currently implementing those training programs across Belize, the advanced technical skills programs. And all of the programs we designed, the curriculum, it was all influenced and based on the needs assessment report. So it's heavily data driven. We spent a lot of time collecting the data, a lot of first-hand data and first-hand information as well that informed what we are doing currently. So my role really as a technologist is to teach people advanced technical skills. I brought a lot of my team members to Belize from the UK, from the US, and because we understand that I don't think we have talent shortage in Belize. I think we just have skills shortages, because there are many talented people here. I think a lot of them just needed some hand-holding, introduction to these concepts. And what we are finding is that they are picking up these skills extremely quickly, a lot quicker than we anticipated that they would pick up these skills. So yeah, that's been the context of our engagement, but I'm happy to dive in deeper into our research.
Definitely. We'll get an opportunity to do so and to hear some of the very interesting findings that will indeed inform us as we move forward with training and upskilling our Belizeans. Yes, so I wanted to say, what prompted the creation of the Digital Services Investment Policy?
Great. So, great question. It's very, very important to actually mention that the beginning of this policy and strategy started a couple of years ago. As you mentioned, it is an IDB-funded project, and these projects take years to actually elaborate and develop. And so it has been a couple of years since the inception of this initiative, and it was basically promulgated or pushed by the recognition that Belize needed to move up the value chain. We've been saying it for years. Ever since the call center scene first opened up in Belize, the question was, is it the kind of job that we want to promote in terms of the very entry level, the tier one type of thing, knowing that it's a competitive space. There are other countries that are providing the services as well. And then also recognizing that, so in Belize, while we have various, aspects of our landscape that really give us a competitive advantage, when it comes to like the cost of labor, for example, or the cost of operations, we are sometimes at a disadvantage. And so recognizing the need for Belize to compete, it was then, it's been decided, to innovate, to evolve. And so starting from a couple of years ago, we definitely actively, sought the help of the IDB to get us up that value chain, right? And especially post-COVID, and with the rise of things like artificial intelligence, which present some challenges, some threats, it was, felt that this was a really good time to kind of be ahead of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Christian Loza coming in virtually. Christian, you currently work at the BPO. You manage a BPO. What is your thoughts and take on the initiative that's being taken by the government of Belize through Beltrade and through our consultants who are in country?
Hi, good night. Thank you for having me on the show again. Just a little tongue-in-cheek, you guys are too late. Just to give you guys a little understanding of our background in our BPO, we're in the logistics industry, meaning we deal with freight in the United States or North America, because we do have sometimes bordering with Canada as well. And so we are not a call center. So that's one of the things that we have to have dispel in our community of Corozal, because we're actually in our operations, we handle operations, we handle sales, we handle even accounting functions. And so one of the things that I'm seeing in the case of what the Bell Trade is doing is they're making sure that they're preparing the next generation of Belizeans that can also benefit from these types of jobs. Because like you've heard me say before, we're the top paying BPO in Corozal. We start around $15 an hour to $20 an hour because of the type of work that we're doing. And again, I think that what they're doing is exposing that Belize can handle this work. In our case, just to give you guys a little backstory, we had to start from scratch. We hired all persons out of university with a bachelor's degree, and we created our own standard operating procedures. And basically, the owners took a gamble, and we went and I went full force on it, and we were able to train people. As Christian said earlier, Belize does not lack talent. It just, lacks sometimes a little bit of showing the person or unlocking that skill, if you want to call it that. And that's what we did in our BPO, basically, along with our American partners who actually came down and trained us a little bit, and then we did everything over the computer as well.
Great, thank you, Christian. Yes, so good addition to this conversation for sure. So since we've been talking so much about skills, let's dive into that then. Does Belize have the skills, you've already said no, required for successful diversification of the digital services? And maybe we need to explain what we mean by diversifying our digital services, because it might be a little bit unclear for our viewing audience.
Okay, so in short, I think that I repeat what I said. We have a lot of talent in Belize. Perhaps the talent needs a little bit of a push and guidance and infusion of those skills into their talent base. Based on our research, we actually did a root cause analysis. When I spoke with a couple of BPOs and asked them what their pain points were, they talked about the lack of technical skills when they recruit people at entry level, especially tier 1 agents. So that led us onto what I call into a rabbit hole, actually. So we started looking at why we had those lack of skill set. And it took us down to your primary school education, your secondary school, and your universities. And we actually found that Belizean kids are actually exposed to technology at a very, very late stage in life. If you compare that to some other Caribbean islands, compare that to first world countries, developed nations, we found that a lot of these kids were exposed to tech age 12, 13, 14. In most areas of the world, kids are exposed to tech age 4, 5, 6. My kid started using tablets at age 4. He came to me one day from school and said he wanted an iPad. I thought, what is an iPad? How do you know what an iPad is? So when we did further research, I personally went to a lot of the schools. I looked at the computer labs. I spoke with the teachers. We have shortage of IT teachers across the schools, from secondary school to high school to junior high to tertiary institutions. We had shortage of IT teachers. You had business teachers and non-IT teachers teaching the subjects. And when you ask them what they teach Microsoft Word and Excel. And then when we went further to look at the computer labs in each of these schools, a lot of the computer labs are ill-equipped to teach kids advanced technical skills. You had schools of 920 students sharing 30 computers, of which half of them didn't work. The ones that worked were 5, 6, 7 years old. So you realize that the infrastructure is not, it's not good enough to actually educate kids on advanced technical skills. You then find that these skills leave high school or secondary schools and go straight into the BPOs to work. And some of them work at the BPOs for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, in most cases without upskilling themselves. So you have this huge contingent of tier 1 workers without advanced technical skills. And that particular deficiency started from primary school to secondary school. And then when you research as well into the bachelor's degrees and the offerings by a lot of the universities, I understand that Galen's recently launched a cybersecurity program. You had the computer science degree, you had the information, I think IT or BIS course that are offered as well. So we went further to reset the curriculums of these programs, and a lot of the curriculums need to be updated in very simple form. If you look at the secondary schools, they learn CXC, they're based on the CXC curriculum. The last update to the CXC was 2017 from an IT or technology perspective. And when we talk about artificial intelligence, the first AI model that we started using, OpenAI, ChatGPT, launched during COVID. So you realize that the curriculum or curricula that we teach the kids are quite outdated. Again, I'll give you another case study. Most schools, the recommendation from CXC is that you teach people Pascal programming language. I've been a software engineer for 20 years. I've never written a line of code in Pascal, for example. So there is a dire need to actually update the curriculums to teach them modern technology tools, modern programming languages. And in the event that the Belize are heavily reliant on the CXC curriculum, then you've got to append those curriculums with additional programs or additional skills that you teach a lot of these kids. So when you look at the actual skills shortage issue, it's actually multifaceted, from the lack of the proper infrastructure to lack of teachers to teach the skills. And where you have teachers that would teach the skills, the teachers are constrained by the curricula that they have to teach. I spoke to several IT teachers that talked about how they wanted to improve or update the curricula, but their hands were tied because they had to follow set rules and procedures. So by the time people get into the BPOs, they already have these deficiencies. And when you look at it from the BPO perspective, we need people to work right now. So how do we upskill these people whilst they're in work? And when you look at these advanced technical skills, if I were to teach you cloud engineering or cybersecurity, for you to learn that skill in a very short time, I need you in a physical space where I can handhold you, I can walk you through practical sessions. These are not skills that you teach virtually. I mean, you can teach aspects of it virtually, but you need like a hybrid setup where I can teach you maybe 60% of it virtually, and then the last 40%, you need to come into a room where you tell me, I don't understand these lines of codes, how do I fix these errors? And it's what we're doing currently with the IDB project. So based on our research, we realized that the problems start at a very young age, which leave the kids and the younger people short of skills. We recently trialed something in Corozal as well with the IPCU, where we brought a bunch of 15-year-olds to 17-year-olds. I spent a week with them. I think my first day with them, I thought, what am I going to teach these kids? They're actually really, really young. Are they going to understand the concept? I was supposed to teach them digital marketing, e-commerce, web development, and CRM tools. These are some of the things that the advanced tier 3 BPO job roles. So I thought, would these kids actually understand what we are supposed to teach them? And we had a mixed class where we had 15 to 17-year-olds on one side, and we had what I would, not the older people, I would call the more matured audience on the other side. And I found that the 15 to 17-year-olds actually grasped the subject matter a lot quicker than the older people. So it actually made me realize that we had the talent in Belize. These kids just needed to be taught. And as I'm teaching them and I'm asking them, have you learned this concept at school? And they all say, no, we've never been taught these things at school. So you start to understand where the deficiencies lie. If you upskill these 15 and 17-year-old pupils before they actually get into the BPO sector, then they go there with advanced skills. Another thing that we found is that a lot of businesses in Belize are actually quite obsessed with papers. What kind of certification do you have? Minimum associate degree, bachelor's degree. But I think they could actually focus on micro-credentials. If you look at the BPO sector, if the BPOs want to outsource tier 3 advanced technical roles, then I'm sure their clients would ask them, how many certified cybersecurity professionals do you have? How many certified cloud engineers do you have? And nowadays, you can get those certifications. I'm not saying don't go to university. By all means, go to University of Galen.
By all means.
But you can actually get these micro-credentials by going through 2-3 month programs, and that will give you the advanced technical skills that you need to fill these tier 3 roles. So again, my advice or my suggestions or recommendations to institutions is to train people not just to focus on the associate degrees or the bachelor's degrees. Even whilst I'm going through a bachelor's degree, over 3 years, I could actually achieve 3-4 micro-credentials. If I'm doing cybersecurity, year 1, I could get certified in cybersecurity and internationally recognized certification. Year 2, I could do cloud engineering and get an AWS certification or Microsoft Azure certification. That is what a lot of the clients that want to outsource these services to Belize would actually ask you for, rather than bachelor's degree. In fact, in most cases, you have a bachelor's degree. Yes, okay. Where's your AWS certification? Right? Where's your ISC squared certification? So I think we need to focus a lot on getting these people certified on micro-credential pathways and focus on investing a lot in the younger people in primary schools, secondary schools, and junior high schools as well.
Yeah, you've certainly shared a lot, but if I can add a cloud and rainbow to what you just said, that's the direction we're going. Galen certainly is going the direction of micro-credentialing. The Caribbean there was just a Concade conference that was happened in Belize. We hosted it. So the Ministry of Education, I believe, is also involved. And I know they're a key partner here and a stakeholder in this whole progress forward. But definitely Galen is looking towards micro-credentialing. So it is on the horizon, coming sooner rather than later. So, but it's good that your research has also pointed in that direction, so we know we're doing the right thing.
It's fantastic to hear of the moves by Galen, Diana, and I think it definitely represents an opportunity, to listen to what the industry is saying, in terms of what the needs are. I think one of the big selling points of the Belizean employee in this space is that we're highly trainable. And I think that certainly is, showing through the training experience and the rollout of the project right now. Just to also mention that one of the big selling points of the Belizean employee in the digital services provision sector is the empathy, right? And so that's where Beltrade also comes in and fills a gap, in providing or infusing the training that we provide with that sort of, leadership training, the customer relationship training, and just the responsibilities that you should exhibit as an employee in a job place in Belize.
Yes, definitely. Those are also very important skills. So we do applaud the work that Beltrade does. I wanted to bring Christian in because there's a lot that's being said indeed, Christian, and you may already be seeing some of this at play in your BPO. Christian Loza, you're on with us still? Yeah, there you are. Yeah,
yes, I'm here.
Yeah, the micro-credentialing part. Because indeed, we have been talking a lot, and this is coming where through micro-credentialing, you can build up to your associates and your bachelor's degree. So we're not throwing our degrees through the door at all, right? But looking at different ways of approaching training. I'm not sure, but maybe we can hear from you, Christian, what you're seeing within your workforce.
Just to give Christian and the audience a little understanding of why the BPOs have a sense of requirement for papers, if you want to call it that, an associate's or a bachelor's, is because if employers are, when we're hiring somebody and they possess a associate's or a bachelor's, there is an expectation of them being able to rationalize, and they've proven that they are able to learn new skills. And so that's kind of one of the reasons why. But Christian is also right. Like in our case with our IT person, the company has had to send him to get like micro credentials and all that other stuff, because the degree is great for entry, but now for him to actually manage our cloud service, our servers, he needs to then get those trainings. And so one of the things that I heard from you, I was just mentioning just now with Galen, as Christian said, there is a component that people need to be physically there. And so what I see the future of education is becoming is you will have an instructor in class that will be able to help you make sure that you are successful when you go and embark on a micro credential. And so what I'm hearing is Galen is embarking on that as well. So that's great.
Yes, good. So could you explain what is Tier 1, Tier 2, and I guess Tier 3? I mean, because we're throwing it out, assuming that everybody understands, and most of our BPO sector employs, 18 to 20,000 Belizeans. So you're telling me all of them, but obviously not, because Christian Loza just said his are at, I'm thinking they're not Tier 1.
No.
But could you explain what the different tiers are?
So Tier 1 BPO roles actually involve a lot of telephony services where I basically answer the phone a lot. I deal with queries, what I call like static job roles. I usually have FAQs, frequently asked questions, where I'm referring to documentation and I'm using those documentations to actually solve problems. The tier 2 roles are more like IT support, first line IT support, second line IT support, some CRM support as well. And then you have the tier 3 roles, which are the more advanced technical roles, where you have the cloud engineers, the cybersecurity engineers. I think Belize is well positioned. I'm looking at the group of people I had in my session today. We did what we call a security operations center simulation, where you can actually outsource cybersecurity functions for US companies, UK companies, European companies here in Belize, where you have a security operations center and people sit down and monitor IT platforms. So that's an example of tier 3 technical roles. They involve advanced technical skills to fill out those roles. I think that is obviously where the big money is. And when you look at the BPO sector employing 22,000 people, like you said, over 70% of those roles are tier 1 roles. And those roles are ripe for disruption. And one of the things that artificial intelligence is extremely good at is solving repetitive tasks and dealing with repetitive tasks. So if I know that a lot of the people that call my BPO will ask the same questions repeatedly, I can automate that process. In fact, I can even build very good AI tools, voice tools that will sound Belizean when you call if I want them to. They will sound American if I want them to. I could program these tools to speak a plethora of languages. They can understand French, they can speak French to you, and these are AI-driven applications as well. So when you look at the disruption that those types of AI-driven tools will bring into tier 1 role, it's a no-brainer that we've got to upskill people and give them the advanced technical skills. I think where Belize needs to be is at a point where the people we have in Belize are building those AI tools, are building those AI systems, are the human in the loop within those AI infrastructure, where rather than dealing with 20 customers a day, I can now deal with just, I can sit down there and let AI do 80% of the role and only escalate it to me when it hallucinates or cannot solve the problem. So I think we have such huge tendencies to upskill these people so they start building this infrastructure rather than just consuming the infrastructure.
Just to mention and add that, it's good to note that, there is a percentage of Belizean, BPOs that are not in the tier 1 category, because we are already exporting services in software development, in some of these high-tech, sectors and services. And so it is happening. We definitely want more of that. We want the people, coming out of our university systems, who are trained in that area, in the ICT realm, to be employed in their field here in Belize. It is already happening. I really love the example that Christian Loza mentioned about logistics, because that's another area. And so it's really opening up, a lot of opportunity in other areas, in terms of fintech, in terms of health tech, that we can employ our professionals, our technicians here in those areas via digital means.
So to come back to the project that you're working on, Christian Jr., what will be the output or outcome of that project? What is it intended?
That's actually a very good question. For my role as a contractor or as a consultant, the objective for us is to upskill at least 50 persons across multiple advanced digital skills. And we designed programs around data analytics, cloud engineering, cybersecurity, digital marketing. Other programs include agile technical project management, IT help desk, and CRM. I think we have about 8 programs or 8 tracks. So the outcome is actually to upskill these individuals and get them certified, both local certification. I think we're working with Galen. So Galen will provide the local certification for these people so they have proof of their newly acquired skills. We're also exposing them to international certifications, the micro-credentials that we've talked about. All the programs we've designed them to those micro-credentials, those certifications. So when we finish these programs, we do hope that the participants continue to get those acquire those international certifications. And for me, a very successful program would be these people being adopted in their respective places of work, being the BPO or anywhere they work, and being exposed to those advanced technical roles as well, hopefully get a pay increase as a recognition of their newly acquired skills. So that would be a successful outcome of our programs, to successfully get these people without technical knowledge or advanced technical skills to where they can get those higher paying job roles, and they can fill out those tier 3 roles. And like Ishmael said, some BPOs are already in that space. So hopefully these people will fill out those roles. And we also have a lot of participants on our programs that are not BPO employees. For example, we were contracted to train 50 people, but we are actually delivering those training for 90 people, almost double the size that we were contracted to do, at our cost, entirely at our own cost. So the hope is that these people can go into the workforce immediately after these programs, or get some experience, maybe at a lower level, and build up their experience for those higher paying job roles. And we do hope that the BPOs can also start, seeking those advanced technical roles, because they now have the capacity, they have the certification, the certified people in-house to fill out those campaigns as well. That would be a successful program.
And if I could add that, a big outcome of the policy and strategy, and first of all, we must commend the Ministry of Investment, specifically the Investment Policy and Compliance Unit, for leading the charge, is beyond human capital development, is modernization, right? Along the lines of policy, incentives, legislation. A lot of things need to come into place and need to be modernized. Data privacy, data protection is something that I think really needs to be up there. And so the whole topic of modernization is expected to be a big outcome of this project, as well as pushing for investment in infrastructure. So we're talking the utilities, electricity, the internet, and very importantly, the redundancies. We need backups for these, because especially if we're aiming to go that route of that higher tier value, service provision, there can't be interruptions. There can't be interruptions to those services. And so those are some of the areas that I think we can expect, investment to happen in, coming out of the strategy.
Good. I noted that the Global Digital Services Investment Policy has a particular focus in the orange economy. Could we talk a little bit about that? Because that will push, it's cultural as well as creative aspects of our industry and creativity. Why the orange economy?
So if you recall, the Belize Investment Summit of 2020, when was it? 2020, 2 years ago, 2023. The focus was on the orange economy. And I think at that point there was this just newfound respect for the creative and cultural industries, and an appreciation by that sector in Belize for the attention, as well as the now support that's going in to develop it along the lines of, access to finance, mechanisms for orange economy practitioners. It's very important to mention that the National Institute of Culture and History is at this time elaborating a national culture policy for Belize that will encompass, the development of culture. So this aspect of our economy in terms of the Belizean talent for creativity is being included in this orange economy sector, and it does include things like, graphic art, design, the software development, and other aspects. And so it's considered to be orange economy because it comes out of the mind. It's a creative industry aspect.
Are we prepared and equipped to protect the intellectual property rights of our creatives?
So that's a great question. It definitely is something that needs to be factored in as the national culture policy is elaborated, and close engagement with Belaipo needs to happen. There are actually opportunities that are presenting themselves in the context of intellectual property. So yes, it's an area that we need to step up and be prepared for, to ensure that is protected, especially in the area of generative AI when it comes to design development.
Did your research point to anything related to the orange economy, Christian?
Just passively, We did look into that as well. Some of the programs we've designed and created touch on that, the orange economy a little bit, just like similar to what Ishmael has said. For example, the digital marketing program that we designed centers has huge elements of content creation. I hear you talking about generative AI as well. When you look at the curricula and looking at the trainers even from yesterday, I was in that session. We had a huge session based on content creation, where the trainer taught the people or was teaching the people in the group around using generative AI tools, using other AI tools to create content. And when we look at the content that we are creating, they're creating content to promote Belize tourism. We're creating content to promote social services, Ministry of Education. So yes, you cannot, the GDS sector is heavily linked to the orange economy as well. You did ask a question if Belize is equipped for it. I think that there needs to be some policy changes as well. One of the things that we found from our research within that orange economy is the ability of creators to actually get paid for their product, for their services and the content that they create. You would find that, for example, if I'm a creator and I live in England and I create content that goes onto YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, I actually get paid for those content after every 4,000 views or 5,000 views. What we find in Belize is that when content creators create this content, it's extremely difficult for them to get paid. For example, a lot of these platforms, you cannot monetize your content if you say your country of residency is Belize, for instance. So you got to think about creative ways to go around it. Some people use addresses of family members in the US to sign up to these platforms and create content so they can start receiving those payments. I think there needs to be some policy shifts. I heard Mr. Ishmael talk about fintech as well. I think creating policies that are conducive to fintech companies would actually help drive the orange economy, because it makes it a lot easier for people to receive payments, PayPal payments, digital wallet payments as well for their creative services. I think as you want to start exposing them to the creative within the orange economy, you can get creators that can start outsourcing their services even without working for the BPO sector, for example. I can sign up to these creative platforms, freelancer.com, upwork.com, and actually offer my creative services to them, but I need to get paid somehow. So those are very realistic challenges that are preventing people from taking advantage of that particular sector or industry. I think that policy changes will help that.
Yeah, we're running down to almost close time for our show. I want to take a quick break, and we'll be right back while I ask all three of you to give us your last words. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
My year. My life, my education. Galen University, my choice for excellence in education. Apply today. For more information, email us at admissions@galen.edu.bz or give us a call at 614-6415. Come soar with the Galen Eagles.
Hi, my name is Christian Loza, and I earned my bachelor's in business administration with a minor in economics and a master's of business administration from Galen University. I currently work as the general manager at Logistics BPO in Corozal Town. Galen helped sharpen my leadership skills and strategic thinking, giving me the confidence to manage a high-performing team in a fast-paced environment. If you're considering Galen, I highly recommend it. It's not just about earning a degree, it's about the opportunities and the confidence it gives you to excel in your career. Join Galen and invest in your future today.
Welcome back to the Galen Hour. We are on our wrap-up segment, and so we're going to get last words from our guest. Would you like to start us off, Christian Jr.?
Okay. I think that there is tremendous potential in Belize. When you look at the orange economy, when you look at the GDS sector as well, I think there's tremendous opportunities. You have so many advantages compared to other competitors within this space. A lot of people in Belize speak both Spanish and English, which means that you can serve a lot more people. These are the most popular languages across the world. I think that there are lots of opportunities. I feel like we just need a little push, a little bit of advanced technical skills training, and I think that programs like what Beltrade are doing, what the IDB is doing, in partnership with Galen University and other consultants, it needs to be replicated far and wide across Belize. I think we need to take these programs onto the schools as well, not just focused on the workforce. If we do these things, then we're preparing the next generations of the workforce for these advanced technical roles. So I think the future is bright. There are many, many reasons to be optimistic rather than pessimistic, especially in the face of the AI innovation, in the face of policy changes from a lot of the regions that we outsource to. That's my take on it. I think we should be very optimistic. A lot of the programs and initiatives going on would upskill a lot of people and get them ready for these advanced technical roles. So yeah, I think it just needs to be replicated at a much larger scale to reach out to the more people in Belize.
Thank you, Christian Jr. Definitely some good takeaways, and there's just so much more conversation that can happen and will happen on our global digital services sector in the near future. Christian Loza, your last words, please.
Yes, if we stay focused, stay collaborative, and keep investing in our people as the government is doing, and other private sector partnerships are doing as well, I believe that Belize can become a leader in digital services in the region, especially with the bilingual advantage that Christian mentioned already as well. Thank you for having me in the conversation tonight.
Thank you for joining us. Very positive messages. I mean, this is good because we need to be optimistic. We have what it takes. We have the talent, and we're starting with the upskilling. Yes. Ishmael, you get the last words.
Thank you so much. And I think, yes, that's so important, to maintain that optimism. So despite the challenges, that are presented, it's important to bear in mind and to focus on the opportunities that are presenting themselves. And in a sense, Belize is well poised. We're ahead of the game in certain respects. We do have some catching up to do, some work to do, and so everything is gearing up towards that. Coming together. That push that Christian mentioned also starts with the self. And so I would definitely implore employees working in this space, as well as employers, to support training, upskilling, and continuous development. From the part of Beltrade and the government of Belize, we certainly are listening, and the idea is really to help develop policy that will be supportive and that will see us through to success.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted just your last words, add to your last words, where we are and what's next with the investment policy, because work has already started, the policy, right? So what's next in terms of the policy?
So yes, so the work continues. I know that Christian is involved in that initiative, in the actual policy. And so it's about seeing it through, ensuring stakeholder engagement, and then sensitization, and then of course ensuring that that the implementation is monitored and communicated so that people know what's happening.
Absolutely. And how important is the role of academia in all of this? Because we do offer degrees, and we will be offering micro-credentialing opportunities.
I mean, obviously you cannot overstate the role of the education system in all of this. I think there needs to be more collaboration, like Christian said via Zoom. There needs to be more collaboration between the education sector, the workforce, and the policymakers, the government, especially the Ministry of Education. We cannot overstate it. You cannot upskill people in advanced technical roles without them being involved with education institutions like Galen, for example. And also, for example, the training programs we're running with the IDB, participants can get some credits that they can take on to further their education at Galen. And we've had a lot of people ask us, so when we finish this, can we then go further into Galen University? I have to say, I know we've talked a lot about micro-credentials. I mean, the bachelor's degrees, the MBAs, the master's degrees are still extremely crucial. By all means, please do go for these degrees. But I say, in the short term, also look at the micro-credentials. So you cannot overstate. You guys doing that is actually absolutely important. I would also like to employ Galen or any of the universities. Please bring in international exam certification centers into Belize. For example, a lot of the programs we're doing to actually sit those micro-credential exams, people have to travel to Guatemala, Mexico, and Honduras to take those exams. So that's also another opportunity for academia to bring those certification exams into Belize as well. So we can, yeah.
Thank you. Christian Jr., thank you for
Thank you
joining
very
us
much.
tonight and for sharing your wealth of information. Ishmael, thank you for joining us. And yes, we've broken the whole drought of you not being on air, and so we hope to be able to invite you back again soon. Christian Loza, it's always a pleasure. Christian is the president of our Alumni Association. And
Thank you.
yeah, and always very involved. So thank you. So to our viewing audience, I thank you for joining us for this season of the Galen Hour. Tonight wraps up season 9. We've been looking at research work of our MBA students, and tonight we kind of took a little shift, but we were still able to tie it into a lot of the work that was done by our MBA students. So it is always a pleasure to engage with our audience, to be here on Wednesday nights. But this brings us to the close. It has been a very educational season. We look forward to season 10. But in the interim, while we break for Christmas, until we come back with another episode of season of the Galen Hour, we do have an Eagle podcast that's being aired only on social media. And so we will bring that to TV for the interim period until next Galen Hour. And it's focusing on social work. And it's very interesting as well. So we thank you for joining us for the last 6 weeks. We look forward to bringing more educational information and sessions like this to our Belizean people. Good night. Have a great December as we wrap up. And happy Thanksgiving to all of our American friends and all those who celebrate Thanksgiving. Thank you, good night, and see you soon.